Biden's forgiving federal student loans for $10,000 and 20 grand, which is to say another 10 if it's a Pell Grant. Not an expert in Pell Grants, but I think they're for people with low income. And so 10 or 20 grand of student loan forgiveness.
Should be called a dark grant.
If they make under a certain amount of money and to get the
really
additional
high,
ones for their
like
qualifications.
125,000 and 250,000 if you're married. Like it's kind of for most people, right? And I assume it phases out. It usually does if it's above that. Like if you make 150 grand, you get 9 grand back instead of 10. I'm making that up, but it's probably right. I don't know. I'm torn. In general, I wasn't for student loans. I was against it. And the reason, or student loan forgiveness. And the reason is going to college is a good deal. These people are making more money than the rest of the population. You're kind of taking the country's money and funneling it towards our most successful people. That is the guys who have college degrees or, presumably they finished school with their loans. And, the reason people still go to college now is it's still a good deal. You go to college and you can be a fucking certified public accountant. Sky's the limit.
Holy shit!
It's true.
Is it too late for me?
Why did I ever do YouTube?
So thanks for hitting that back. Anyway, so we're taking money and giving it to America's most successful people, our college graduates. And I'm like, why? But then on the other hand, we've just dumped all this money into PPP loans and some other COVID relief loans. And I'm like, shit, we gave money to everyone else. When, to try to not be a hypocrite, Trump raised taxes on blue states. I thought it was targeted and bad, right? So here's how that worked. Something called SALT, and it is basically it was tax deductible to use the interest on your mortgage and your real estate taxes. But it only made sense if you had a lot of those to do. Otherwise, the standard deduction would work fine. So these are people who live in expensive homes, which you could call rich people. But actually, if you live in Massachusetts, your home costs a lot. If you live in Hawaii, your home costs a lot. New Jersey, New York, the places with expensive homes are blue states. So he kind of raised taxes on blue states and gave them the finger. And I was like, wow, this is a really targeted kind of Trump tax increase. If you're a blue state, suck a dick. Well, now Biden's doing student loan forgiveness for college graduates, which feels kind of targeted too. Like if you're a blue voter, you get some money back.
Can't use it for my trade school loans.
Student loans, if you got a federal subsidized one, it counts.
I don't think that's true. I think if you were to go to like community college and get your HVAC degree, you would get that forgiven too.
I wonder if Scott has any like student loans. I'm gonna send him a text. I mean, he shouldn't. I mean, he's been making like 6 figures for several years, but he is the kind of guy to be like, fuck it, how many months? Alrighty then.
Yeah.
See you then.
Well, that would have turned out to be a good financial decision. Let the government pay it off.
Oh, it'd be so huge. Oh, like if the three of us had known this was going to happen, wouldn't we have all taken out some student loans a few years ago? Get our free 10 grand.
Going back to school.
And shit, I'm gonna go. Like, all right, let's learn some shit.
I got 10 grand worth of bullshit to learn.
If he wanted to stimulate the economy, he didn't have to do it by paying off the debt of college graduates. Like that, there are more efficient ways to dump money into everyone's pocket.
Well, I'll tell you what he did buy. There aren't more efficient ways to fire up your base and buy a few votes though than getting everybody
during an election season.
$10,000.
Yeah, you can buy some serious votes that way.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't feel one way or another about it. I frankly don't have anybody in my life who benefits or from it. So I'm sure there's somebody out there is what I'm getting at that is like, thank God I only owe 10 more grand. Now I can like now my options are open. And for those people, it's like, oh man, that is kind of a good thing. But then I imagine there's a bunch of people who like have like $180,000 worth of bullshit. And they're just like, yeah, slice another 10 off, and we're just doing that across the board. And where's that money even coming from? It's coming from me and you who like pay taxes. People who pay taxes.
You and me, true. Also, someone working at Walmart is paying taxes. And it's going to some college graduate.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take an opposite stance and say it was a good thing. I think it was a half-assed measure and they should have forgiven all of it. And the reason that it's so extreme is because, we wanted to have student loans to get people into college, right? Because college students are smart, they stimulate the economy, it's better for everybody. But what we did by subsidizing the student loans is we kind of pumped a whole bunch of money into the college system. And colleges kind of rapidly realized they could charge what they want. And demand was only going up because I don't know about all of you, but literally from the moment I could speak, my parents told me, go to college, get a job at a big company. If you don't go to college, you're going to work at McDonald's. You don't go to college, you'll never get married. You don't go to college, you're going to die alone and poor and hating yourself. You talk to your school counselor, you talk to your teachers, you talk to other working professionals. You can go talk to your pastor, priest, or imam. You can go get on the internet. They'll all tell you the same thing. You have to go to college or you're going to be a loser. So of course people do it. Not everybody needs to go to college. With the federal money coming in, the prices kept going up, but the money availability was there and people just take the loans, because you're 18. I have to pay that when I'm 24. That's forever from now. And you have an entire generation, almost two, of young people that graduate college into an economy where they start off with a whole house worth of debt, like a whole mortgage worth of debt that they have to pay on. And the economy's in shambles. And outside of a few technical degrees, college degrees aren't as valuable as they used to be. And even the technical degrees can suck a fat one if there's not a lot of demand in that industry. So you have a bunch of people that, since they were babies, were told to go to college, and they did exactly what every reasonable person told them to. And now they will never have enough money to own a house. They will never be financially stable. A lot of them have difficulty getting married or dating because of the loan debt. Nobody wants to date a broke ass, right? It's really rough, and people are absolutely screwed. I mean, you have doctors, and that's a little specialty, but imagine graduating at 35, something like $500,000-$600,000 in debt, and then you're allowed to begin to work. So you've got an entire generation just super burdened by debt that will never be able to do anything useful and are just waiting around for their parents to die.
I feel like you can't get by with
wrong.
$600,000
of debt. That's not
doctors, lawyers, people with professional masters
with
and
jobs
PhD
that are
stuff.
going to
Can
pay
you
a
fact
lot.
check that? I'm not sure. Maybe I'm wrong.
It looks like
I don't think
Where
so.
are we going to school? Let's pick a college.
Hold on.
That's
Like
the other thing. This
real quick,
Taylor,
like you did say something like everyone is told to go to college. That's not true. A lot of people are told that they won't be able to go to college because they can't afford it.
We're going to
And
Harvard
that it
Law?
would be prohibitively expensive. Also, I'm looking up here, a little under 50% of all student loans, all federal student loans, are for grad students. So you're going to take money from people making like very little to pay off the full bulk of some guy who now has 30 years ahead of him as a doctor or 30 years ahead of him as an attorney. That's just not fair.
And
it's
so
never
Zach
fair.
Googled it. The average undergraduate has 25,000 in loan. This is the average federal student loan debt balance is 37 grand. That doesn't really tie in. Maybe the typical finishes with 25 grand, but the average is 37. I don't know what's happening there, but there we are. Let's call that a range: 25 to 40 grand in debt
Average.
to finish school.
It's not great.
It's not great, sure, but also these people are probably making 15 grand more a year, 60 grand more a year.
I
Who
just
knows?
wish we were
'Cause they
making
went to
someone else
college.
pay for it.
This idea that like, oh, people graduate college and then they can't get good jobs afterwards. Well, pick a real degree. Like that's a thing too.
I'm in for it if Mexico pays.
I want Mexico to pay for it. Like that's the only way. Like that's how it should work. Because he's just willy nilly. 10,000 each. What if we had to go get that somewhere? Like that's how it should be. What he was like, how'd you come up with that number? It's a nice round number. It's like when Tony Soprano wanted to know some shit about his one of his guys' sex life. So he's asking his sister, and she's like, $5,500. And he's like, how'd you come up with that number? Seemed like a number that you would pay. You're right.
It's the lowest number.
like a number you would pay.
Do you guys not think society gets better if we unburden young people from debt?
Are
the
you
most
unburdening
indebted
everyone?
generation. Well, you're certain some of them, and you're helping almost everybody.
Yes,
I mean,
it depends how we do it, right?
You're not helping almost anyone
Yeah.
unless you're selling some trickle-down economics plan where we take our wealthiest, most successful
I heard
college
that works.
graduates and give them the money in hopes that
Okay,
their
well-
auto mechanic gets better paid.
There is a little bit of that to it, but you know, people out in the real world, you have professional services that you have to contract and do, and things that get made and manufactured, and doctors you see. Would you rather have those people that you deal with be in crushing debt and depression and working extra jobs and just kind of bullshitting? Or would you rather have them healthy, happy, and making good decisions and actually really
really trickle down.
I guess that it is a trickle down thing, but it's real.
Like,
how many times have you gone to a doctor and he looked like he wanted to kill himself?
I mean, that's just that doesn't make any sense, man. Like,
do you want more cookies or less cookies?
I understand. Like you're right. The targeting of students for these predatory loans is wrong. I don't like that. But at the same time, and Destiny came on the show and made a really compelling point like a year or two ago, where he's like, as far as forgiving all student loans for everyone, that's really just huge influx of cash for the wealthiest among us who can afford to say, hey, I'm going to get a postgraduate degree in history. That person, is either making a very bad decision or they have money. And so he made it much more articulately than me, but to forgive all the loans, just whole cloth, is like, yeah, you're punishing people who were like, well, fuck, I didn't go because I couldn't afford it.
I don't think that's a punishment, because I
they'll
believe
be punished
that
on their
society
taxes.
as a whole. If you didn't go to college, you're not going to get your tax bill and it's like $10,000 more, and it's like, oh, here's Kyle's tax money. I mean, college money. That's not how that works.
Where do you think the money comes from?
The money comes from, honestly, a shit ton of loans from foreign entities, loans to ourselves, questionable financing, quantitative easing, and a disgusting amount of money printing. We spend, I think it's 30 to 40% more money than we make.
You mistake me. Stop gish galloping and tell me where the money comes from to pay everybody 10% or $10,000.
I don't actually know what the funding is from. Well, yeah, okay, yeah, sure. I thought you were looking for something more specific than that, but taxes. No,
just general taxes. Cost of living going up, businesses having to increase their service costs, their product costs, and that's disproportionately going to hurt people in the lower income bracket, right?
Yeah,
that's a problem. Wish I had some student loans.
So you think that the student loan debt is what is contributing to paying off student loans and freebies is what contributes to our debt and inflation situation?
If we were to whole cloth pay for every student loan, yes, that would be bad.
Then how come every other Western country on the planet just has free college for everybody? Almost, you can graduate.
Military spending.
Exactly. So
they don't have military. We take care of the whole world.
We could take 1% of the military's budget and bang out all the student loans that the entire country has over a couple of years. The military gets so much money. Those numbers.
When the aliens show up and we stomp a mud hole in their ass, the United States is going to be like, you see, that's why. That's why. That's why.
Our
the aliens show up and they're like,
yeah,
pretty good in Ukraine right now. I'm getting off topic, but anyway, I worry that we're giving money to a selective, successful group of people, and it doesn't feel good to me.
Well, I didn't have anything to do with it, so it doesn't matter. Y'all elected that guy. I'm not even allowed to vote.